breaking news in Pennsylvania right now. Jessica, go ahead and update our viewers.
That's right. The man accused of firebombing the Pennsylvania governor's mansion earlier this year just pleaded guilty to a slew of charges that include attempted murder and terrorism. And this is chilling new video. You see him right there. The DA's office just releasing this, showing 38-year-old Cody Balmer walking around the governor's mansion in Harrisburg on the night of April 13th, throwing makeshift Molotov cocktails in the home while Governor Shapiro and his family, including his children, were sleeping inside. CNN's Danny Freeman is in Philadelphia. And Danny, we know in just a few moments we're going to hear from Governor Shapiro. After we got this news, we're going to take that when he begins speaking. But again, set the scene for us. Tell us the very latest here.
Absolutely, Jessica. Well, as you noted, the very latest is that Cody Balmer, the man accused then of setting fire to Governor Shapiro's home back in April on the first night of the Jewish holiday of Passover, he's officially pleaded guilty to all of these charges, including the attempted murder of Governor Shapiro, aggravated arson, and then 22 counts of arson as well for the 22 people who were actually inside of the residence that evening, including several children, Governor Shapiro's children, in fact. But again, Jessica, while that is the headline, remember, Balmer turned himself in, so it's not necessarily surprising that he pleaded guilty. Excuse the sirens behind me. But perhaps the most stunning thing is this video that you were describing at the top, because it's the first time that we're seeing exactly how this man, Cody Balmer, really methodically went on to the property of the governor's residence, then took out makeshift Molotov cocktails and set fire to the governor's residence. You see on some of this video him actually throwing it down into the dining room where just hours earlier Governor Shapiro and his family were holding a Passover Seder on that evening in April. The other thing, Jessica, that is so terrifying is you see Balmer try to kick open another door in the residence, which would have opened into the area of the governor's residence where Shapiro and his guests and family were staying. The door was locked, so he was unable to get through that particular door. But again, that footage and the moment of him trying to gain entry into deeper parts of the mansion, again, truly stunning. The other thing, Jessica, that I'll point out is there's a picture that was also released by the Dauphin County District Attorney of the sledgehammer that Balmer used to break a window to gain entrance to the mansion. The DA noted that when Balmer turned himself in, he said that if he had gotten to Governor Shapiro himself, he would have tried to hit him with that hammer. So again, just terrifying images, stunning video about all of this. I'll remind you also that the DA, in his press release that he just released a little while ago, cited the, quote, military actions of the state of Israel in Gaza as Balmer's motivation for carrying out this attack, at least in part. A lot of moving parts right here, but again, like you noted, Jessica, we're expecting to hear from Governor Shapiro in about 10 minutes or so. He had said back that night, or I should say the evening after this happened, because it happened overnight, that he would not let this attack intimidate him from either governing the people of Pennsylvania or from practicing his Jewish faith. So we're going to see if he says something along those lines when we hear his remarks in just a little bit. And the last thing I'll note, Jessica, Balmer accepted this plea deal. He's expected to serve a sentence of 25 to 50 years in a state correctional facility. Jessica?
That video is just so scary, and that picture of the sledgehammer, Danny. And you mentioned that the governor had said this would not intimidate him from governing or from his Jewish faith, which, of course, this was the night of Passover. They'd had a Seder. There were so many questions around motivation here. Balmer apparently told the Associated Press in May in a letter from jail that this had not been a factor in his decision. He said he could be Jewish, Muslim, or a purple people eater for all I care, as long as he leaves me and mine alone. But Danny, the fact remains this was on the night of Passover, and it is something Josh Shapiro has talked a lot about. I would expect he'd talk more about that today.
That's right, Jessica. And remember, I mean, again, you and I were on the air when this was initially breaking news. In those first hours, there was really not a lot of information out there. So it really was hard for many people to divorce the fact that it was the first night of Passover, that it was just a few hours after a Seder, that it was while the governor and so many family members and guests were there. Remember, he had posted a picture of his Seder dinner or of the place settings that evening prior to the attack. Listen, I think that As you note from the AP reporting there, and as we had reported in the days after Balmer was caught and we learned of his identity, that there were perhaps other things going on. There was reports of him potentially having chewed batteries in the past. So listen, I think that from the DA's perspective, the most important thing is that in this first court appearance that Balmer made in Dauphin County in Harrisburg just this morning, they were able to secure that guilty plea, again, for all of these series of intense charges, including most notably the attempted murder of Governor Josh Shapiro.